22 persons suspected to be spies have been arrested in the Iranian province of with an apparent military insider media that operate with a verified social media handle, Iran Armed Forces stating that the 22 individuals were linked to Israeli intelligence services, and police authority in according to AFP confirmed the arrest of the 22 persons the police said are Israeli spies. This, Israel Defense Forces, IDF in a statement issued on Saturday morning said that Israeli troops in a precise attack killed the commander of the Palestine Corps of the Quds Force, Saeed Azadi in According to AFP, police in Iran's province said Saturday that 22 people, linked to Israeli spy services, had been arrested since June 13, Fars news agency reported. 22 people were identified and arrested on charges of being linked to the Zionist regime's spy services, disturbing public opinion and supporting the criminal regime, the agency said, citing the head of police intelligence in Iran's province. It came after Iranian police announced the arrest on Thursday of 24 people accused of spying for Israel and of seeking to tarnish the country's image, according to a statement carried by Tasnim news agency. A European national was also arrested for spying, Tasnim reported on Friday, without giving their nationality or the date of the arrest. Iran regularly announces arrests of suspected spies. Several have been executed in recent weeks. Norway-based NGO Iran Human Rights said at least 223 people have been arrested nationwide on charges related to collaboration with Israel, cautioning that the actual figure was likely higher, AFP stated. Meanwhile, President Vladimir Putin of Russia on Friday said he has secured Israel's pledge to safeguard Russian personnel at Iran's Russia-built nuclear power plant and that he has reached out to both sides to try to end the week-old war. He stated this while answering questions on a variety of issues at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. Putin, who spoke in a native as interpreted in English, said that Russia has proposed some ideas for a possible settlement between Iran and Israel that are currently being discussed. He said Moscow asked Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to ensure the security of Russian personnel who are working to construct 2 more reactors at the nuclear power plant in Iran's port of Bushehr, and that he also raised the issue with US President Donald Trump. Prime Minister Netanyahu has agreed with that, and President Trump has promised to support our legitimate demands, Putin said. President Putin rejected allegations that Moscow has failed to back its ally, Tehran, saying the Kremlin has maintained good ties with both Iran and Israel. He noted that Israel is home to nearly 2 million people from Russia and other former Soviet nations, saying, a factor that we always have taken into account. At the same time, Putin said, Russia has always met its obligations to Iran, adding that Moscow has firmly backed Tehran's right for the peaceful use of nuclear energy. He voiced concern about the spiraling conflict, saying we are strongly worried about what's going on around the Iranian nuclear facilities and possible consequences. Federal High Court sitting in Lagos State of Nigeria has found guilty 15 Chinese citizens, 2 Philippines and 1 Pakistan national for cyber-terrorism. Hence the court sentenced them to 1 year imprisonment and ordered the Nigeria Immigration Service to facilitate the deportation of the convicts immediately after they completed the various jail term. Details of the report as presented by the Public Relations Unit of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, reads verbatim below. Court jails 15 Chinese, 2 Filipinos, 1 Pakistani for cyber-terrorism, internet fraud in Lagos. The Lagos Zonal Directorate 1 of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Thursday, June 19 and Friday, June 20, 2025, secured the conviction and sentence of 15 Chinese, 2 Filipinos and 1 Pakistani for cyber-terrorism and internet fraud before Justices Chukwuchukwu Eneke, Ayokunle Faji and Yelam Bogoro of the Federal High Court sitting in Ikoyi, Lagos. The suspects are Peng Li Huan, Zhang Jinrong, He Kun, Rochelle Caballona, Casalan Pianella, Guo Long Long, Zhang Huazhai, Lin Haobo, Chen Fusheng, Chen Dongdong, Wang Gonglin, Pan Kaiyu, Huang Renjian, Zhang Xiaolei, Karam Shazad, Chen Yuan, Wu Yong and Chen Xin. The suspects were arraigned on separate charges bordering on cyber-terrorism and internet fraud. One of the charges reads, that Yu, Kaslan Pianella, sometime in December 2024, in Lagos, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, willfully caused to be accessed computer systems organized to seriously destabilize and destroy the fundamental economic and social structure of Nigeria when you procured, employed Nigerian youths for identity theft and to hold themselves out as persons of foreign nationality, with the intent to gain financial advantage for yourselves, and you thereby committed an offense contrary to and punishable under Section 18 of the Cybercrimes Prohibition, Prevention, etc. Act 2015, as amended 2024, and Section 2(3)(d) of the Terrorism Prevention, Prohibition Act 2022. They all pleaded guilty to the charges when they were read to them. In view of their pleas, the prosecution counsel, Spifa Wede, Bilkasu Buhari Bala, Chinenye Okezi, Ebuka Okongwu, BM Isa and Namba Mutfwang respectively prayed the court to convict the defendants and also order the forfeiture of all the exhibits recovered from them. The judges found them guilty of the charges and convicted them accordingly. All the convicts were sentenced to 1 year imprisonment, with a fine of 1 million nairas, 1 million naira. The judge also ordered that upon completion of their sentences, the Controller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, should ensure that they are repatriated to their country of origin within 7 days. The judge also ordered that the items recovered from them be forfeited to the federal government of Nigeria. The convicts are among the 792 suspects arrested by operatives of the EFCC for alleged cyber-terrorism. They were charged almost 1 week after gunmen locked people, including children, women and elderly inside their rooms, macketed them, poured petrol on them and set them ablaze at Yellowater community in Guma local government area of Benue state last Friday night. Nigeria President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Wednesday at a town hall meeting in Makurdi, the Benue state capital, confirmed that Nigeria security operatives have made no arrests since the incident occurred, while apparently taking advantage of the ceremonial-like town hall meeting to query the Inspector General of Nigeria Police Force, Kayode Egbetoken, and the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, for not making arrest ever since the incident occurred, with the presidency in a press statement on Wednesday confirming that 100 people were killed in the attack, but local media and residents stated that more than 200 people were sent to their early grave during the attack. This Sunday, Dare, special advisor to the president on media and public communications after visiting the Yellowater community a day ahead of the president's visit to Makurdi, was seen in one of the photographs with a caption, Wednesday, Yellowater village market that was attacked. A walk through. President Tinubu, Commander-in-Chief arrives Makurdi, posted on his personal verified X social media handle, apparently covering his nose with a thick handkerchief, probably following the unpleasant condition of the environs that he could no longer endure the odors or stench emitting in the environment as a result of the mass murder, with the two-time former governor of the state, and senator that once represented Benue Northwest Senatorial District, which Yellowater is inclusive, and the current secretary to the government of Federation in Nigeria, George Akum, saying that on Tuesday when he visited the crime scene, the Benue State University Teaching Hospital, BSUTH, and the camp where the internally displaced people are currently taking refuge, survivors from the attack spoke to him through tears, and after watching some of them at the hospital beds battling for their lives, the SGF said, the pain is raw. On Thursday afternoon, reports from Yellowater indicated that victims of the attack camped at the international market have blocked the road in protest over alleged poor food supply, also accusing government officials of mismanaging relief materials meant for them. At the town hall meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the paramount ruler of the Tiv tribe, Tortiv James Francis Hayats challenged what he described as dangerous misrepresentations of the Benue crisis. It's not herders-farmers clashes, not communal clashes or reprisal attacks. It is a calculated, well-planned, full-scale genocidal invasion and land-grabbing campaign by herder terrorists and bandits, the traditional ruler stated. He warned that the mislabeling of the crisis had fueled dangerous policy prescriptions. Wrong diagnosis will always lead to wrong treatment. This is war, the monarch declared, describing the attacks as a decades-long campaign against the Tiv and Adoma people. According to People's Gazette news media, about 100 persons, including toddlers, were locked up and burnt in their bedrooms in an overnight attack by suspected herdsmen in Yelawata and Daudu communities in Benue State. India Ministry of External Affairs, in a statement issued on Tuesday, says the government of India has moved India students in Tehran out of the Iranian capital city due to safety concerns following the continuous exchange of air bombardments between Israel and Iran, while at the same time, the government of India advised other citizens in Tehran that can afford their own transport fare to leave the Iranian capital city immediately, adding that some citizens of India have been evacuated out of Iran completely through the border with Armenia. The India Embassy in Israel had on Sunday advised persons of India origin not to move unnecessarily in Tel Aviv, and they should obey safety instructions from the Israeli authorities and Home Front Command. According to the India Ministry of External Affairs, Indian students in Tehran have been moved out of the city for reasons of safety, through arrangements made by the embassy. Other residents who are self-sufficient in terms of transport have also been advised to move out of the city in view of the developing situation. Separately, some Indians have been facilitated to leave Iran through the border with Armenia. The embassy remains continuously in touch with the community with a view to extending all feasible assistance. Further advisories may be issued given the fluid situation, the India Ministry of External Affairs stated. Also, India Embassy in Iran issued a strong advisory urging its citizens and persons of Indian origin, PIOs, in Tehran to evacuate the city immediately due to intensifying Israeli strikes. All Indian nationals and PIOs who can move out of Tehran using their own resources are advised to move to a safe location outside the city, the Indian Embassy in Tehran said on Tuesday. The embassy also urged those who haven't registered with the mission to do so without delay. All Indian nationals who are in Tehran and not in touch with the embassy are requested to contact the Embassy of India in Tehran immediately and provide their location and contact numbers, the statement added. 3 emergency helplines were provided for assistance: +98 9010144557, +98 9128109115 and +98 9,128,109,109. The Embassy of India in Israel on Sunday stated that the Embassy of India in Tel Aviv is in touch with members of the Indian community in Israel, including caregivers, workers, students, businessmen and tourist groups. All necessary measures are being taken to ensure their safety and well-being. Embassy continues to monitor the situation closely and is in regular touch with the Israeli authorities. Telephone, +972 5475207111 or +972 5432788392. Email, cons1.telaviv@mayor.gov.in. As you know, national emergency announced by the government of Israel is in place. Airspace is closed. All Indian nationals are once again advised to stay vigilant, strictly avoid any unnecessary move. There are strong indications that the aviation situation in India may need world attention for the safety of global citizens who transit with aircraft within the India Aviation Authority, as multiple reports indicated that some of the aircraft regulated by India authorities are probably more or less like a flying coffin, always waiting to take passengers and crew members early to their makers. As it may be interesting to know that since the plane crashed in Ahmedabad on Thursday last week, there have been series of cancellations and returned flights managed by India Airlines due to technical problems, with an helicopter carrying pilgrims from Kedarnath to Gupkashi crashing on Sunday near Gorakund in the state of Uttarakhand, killing all 7 people on board in India. This, according to residents in India, is the 5th helicopter crash in the country since May 8, 2025, when helicopter crashed near Gangani, killing 6 persons and injuring 1. On May 12, 2025, helicopter blade struck a nearby parked vehicle at Badrinet helipad while attempting to land back on the helipad. On May 17, 2025, an AIIMS Rishikesh Sanjeevani ambulance helicopter crash landed in Kedarnath after the rear part of the helicopter was damaged. On June 7, 2025, an helicopter carrying 5 pilgrims crash landed near Badasu in Rudraprayag before the Sunday crash, killing all occupants on board. After the Times of India reported that rescuers on Saturday recovered another body from the wreckage of the Air India's AI-171, which crashed into the BJ Medical College campus in Ahmedabad on Thursday, taking the death toll to over 274 in what the media described as India's worst ever single aircraft disaster, following the airline earlier confirmation of 241 fatalities among the 242 people on board, with 1 survivor, with the media adding that authorities have also confirmed 33 deaths on the ground. That not all. An Air India passenger, Akash Vatsa, took to X social media platform with videos showing that he boarded the Air India flight that crashed, killing 274 people on board 2 hours before the crash from New Delhi to Ahmedabad, that he observed a lot of technical faults in the airplane and wondered why Air India management still allowed such an aircraft to fly without proper maintenance. CNBC News reported that multiple Air India flights have experienced returns, technical snags, and crew duty delays since the deadly Air India plane crash on June 12, 2025. A London-bound Air India flight, scheduled for takeoff from Ahmedabad, was cancelled on Tuesday due to technical issues. The flight, I-159, arrived from New Delhi to Ahmedabad. It was also the first flight scheduled to depart for London after last week's crash in Ahmedabad. On June 16, shortly after taking off from Hong Kong around 12:30 p.m. local time, Boeing 7878 flight AI-315 reached approximately 22,000 feet before descending and returning to Hong Kong International Airport. According to an NDTV report, the pilot said there was ongoing military campaigns between Israel and Iran on Monday did not spare journalists as the Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting IRIB building in Tehran was hit by Israeli missile, with the Israel Defense Forces IDF saying that the media was one of the Israeli military targets to block the military communications of Iran armed forces, which the Iran armed forces immediately retaliated with ballistic missiles fired into Israel. And IDF, in a statement issued late hours on Monday, confirmed that millions of Israeli residents are currently running into bomb shelters, with air raid sirens sounding across several places in Israel. A video currently trending on social media showed the TV host, Sahar Amami, fleeing the studio when the station was hit by a missile during a live broadcast. Although there are reports from Iran that the state media resumed normal operations minutes after the attack, but there are unconfirmed reports that some journalists were killed in the attack as part of the building was completely on fire. This international news agency, Reuters, put the total deaths recorded so far since the war began on Friday at 248, quoting Iranian source of Iran suffering 224 deaths, and Israeli source saying Israel has recorded 24 deaths. Local media reported that the Israeli airstrikes hit the headquarters of the Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting IRIB in Tehran, Iran's main state-run media network, at about 6:34 p.m. on Monday. The reports indicated that the strike disrupted television and radio signals reaching tens of millions of Iranians across the country and beyond. Initial reports say casualties have occurred, though exact figures are still unconfirmed, according to local media. The IDF said the attack was part of its broader campaign targeting military infrastructure inside Iran. Israel Defense Forces, IDF, in a number of tweets stated that, once again, millions of Israelis are forced to run to shelter following projectile fire from Iran. Recap of our recent operations over Tehran. Strike on 2 F-14 fighter jets that were located at an airport in Tehran. These jets were intended to intercept Israeli aircraft. thwarted a UAV launch attempt toward Israel, eliminated a launch cell minutes before launch toward Israel after intelligence tracked and identified its launch team deploying UAV launchers and weapons. Today, the Israeli Air Force conducted a precise strike based on intelligence targeting a communication center that was being used for military purposes by the Iranian armed forces. The building was used by the Iranian armed forces under the guise of civilian activity, covering up the military use of the center's infrastructure and assets. Prior to the strike, the IDF provided an effective advanced warning to the civilian population, including phone calls, to mitigate harm to civilians as far as feasible, IDF stated. Reuters reported that footage showed a newsreader hurrying from her seat as a blast struck. The conflict entered its fifth day on Tuesday, with air raid sirens sounding in Tel Aviv shortly after midnight as Iran launched additional missiles toward Israel. Iran's foreign minister, not less than 100 persons, mostly civilians, have been confirmed dead less than 48 hours since, on Friday early morning night, Israel and Iran began new massive waves of offensive military campaigns that have forced commercial airplanes to avoid the troubled Middle East airspace as the two countries fly missiles of mass destruction in the air corridors, with local media confirming Iran ballistic missile killed 10 persons and injured more than 20 others at a single building struck at Bat Yam city in Israel as the angry Iranian soldiers launched a massive all-night continuous air bombardments campaign against the state of Israel that earlier on Friday began the new offensive military campaign when it flew fighter jets to strike Iranian military homes, nuclear weapon facilities, killing Iran nuclear weapon scientists, military leaders including Iranian Chief of Staff and Commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC, alongside almost 60 civilian death casualties. This, President Donald Trump of the United States, U.S. in a statement issued on Friday shortly after Israeli attack via his personal verified social media handle on his own Truth social media platform, praised and boasted about the military strength and capability of Israel, saying, "Things will only get worse for Iran because he gave them a chance to make a deal but they ignored the chance," adding with some level of mockery that the Iranian hardliners who spoke bravely are now dead as a result of the Israel attack on Iran, saying with emphasis that the US produces the best level military equipment anywhere in the world, and Israel already has a lot of the US military leather equipments, adding that Israel knows how to use the weapons and more will be giving to them, and in another statement issued also through the Truth social media platform on Saturday shortly after the unprecedented military parades to mark the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States Army, President Donald Trump threatened to unleash the full strength and might of the U.S. armed forces to attack Iran at a level never seen before if Iran dare attack U.S. in any way, shape or form, claiming that the US had nothing to do with the Israeli attack on Iran. Reacting earlier, Iran's Supreme Leader, Imam Saeed Ali Khamenei, said Iran will retaliate Israeli attack with a strong response of no mercy, just as Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said Israeli attack on Tehran on Friday killed military commanders, nuclear scientists, women and children, while wishing President Donald Trump and U.S. Armed Forces happy birthday on Saturday. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu alleged that Iran made an attempt to assassinate President Donald Trump twice, adding that Israel attacked the military and nuclear facilities in Tehran on Friday because Iran was building intercontinental nuclear weapons that could be used to destroy Israel and any other country in the world. Shortly after the Israeli attack on Friday, Iran launched retaliatory airstrikes at Israel, with massive explosions in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, the country's two biggest cities, with residents running into bomb shelters and local media publishing videos and photographs of some parts of Israeli cities completely burned down by Iranian missiles. Day after Russia government led by President Vladimir Putin released over 1,212 bodies said to be dead Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in a written and video press release on Thursday said that Ukraine has recorded over 1 million casualties of Russia soldiers, both dead and wounded inclusive. There were reports that Ukraine initially refused to receive the bodies of the fallen heroes, which thus left the drivers and the refrigerator trucks with the frozen bodies of the said Ukrainian soldiers to be stranded at the exchange site, spending about 4 days waiting for the Ukrainian representatives to receive the body bags. RT News Media reported that Ukraine finally accepts the fallen soldiers' bodies from Russia, quoting Russia's top peace negotiator, Vladimir Medinsky, as saying that Kiev has received 1,212 bodies so far. Russia receives 27 of its dead soldiers in return. According to Zelensky, today, in year 4 of Russia's full-scale war, our military has recorded over 1 million Russian casualties, killed and wounded. That's the price Putin is willing to pay for his sick geopolitical fantasies. And still, he refuses to end this war. 12 days ago, Ukraine's security service completed Spiderweb, a low-cost drone operation targeting the very aircraft Russia used to terrorize our country and to send a message of threat to NATO. These were not just similar strategic bombers, but the exact same ones Russia had used to simulate missile strikes on NATO territory. 10 years ago, such a strike would have been unimaginable. Today, we can't even imagine what kind of strikes a country might be able to carry out 10 years from now. But one principle is clear: no country can afford to stay behind in defense tech. Russia doesn't really care about the lives of 1 million of its own people. But they do care about harsh sanctions, especially on oil and finance, as well as about political isolation, when Moscow is not invited to international forums. If Russian oil sells for no more than $30 a barrel, suddenly Moscow will start sounding peaceful. We must confront those who treat human life as worthless, just as we defend our own safety. This fight isn't limited to Europe, it matters in every region nearby. When life means nothing to those in charge, then no crime is off the table, not even full-scale aggression. We thank Czechia for its initiative on ammunition supplies. It clearly showed that united efforts can really make a difference in modern warfare. We must strengthen all forms of defense cooperation, especially those that help us become more technologically advanced and use drones of every kind, in the air, on land, and at sea. Ukraine is ready to increase drone production by 40% already this year. Our factories have the capacity. What we lack is financing. I urge your countries to treat drone production with the same urgency and attention that we do. We must all be faster in drones than our enemies. We should be realistic about those who brought war to Europe. You can't talk Russia into peace. But there are forms of pressure that hurt those in charge. I ask you to support a serious increase in sanctions. Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, the only survivor in the Air India Boeing Flight 171 that crashed into hospital hostel on Thursday afternoon at Ahmedabad, says he quickly removes his seatbelt and runs out of the plane after the aircraft crash landed less than 59 seconds after takeoff on the ground floor of the medical students' hostel with a luck on his side that the door of the plane got broken and opened immediately after the plane crash landed, and no wall of the building was blocking his way, unlike many others who could have escaped, but they were prevented or blocked by the wall of the hostel building that denied them the opportunity to be able to run out of the plane. And Air India, in a press statement, said the Boeing 171 is 12 years old, and the managing director and chief executive officer of Air India, Campbell Wilson, in a video press release said that only one person out of the 242 passengers and crew members on board the plane survived. This, the president and chief executive officer of Boeing, the U.S. plane, missiles and rockets manufacturer, said he has spoken with Air India, Tata Sons and Tata Group chairman, Natarajan Chandrasekaran, to offer full support, saying, "A Boeing team stands ready to support the investigation led by India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau." While India Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi today paid an on-the-spot assessment visit to the crash site and the hospital where people on ground that sustained injuries, and the British national, Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, who is the only survivor among the people on board the plane, are being treated, and the Prime Minister after the visit issued a statement to condole with the families and relatives of the dead victims, including the family and relatives of former Gujarat Chief Minister Shri Vijay Rupani, a highly notable personality of apparent center of interest that also died in the plane crash. CCTV footage made available online by local media indicated that the plane crash landed very close to the airport in less than 59 seconds after takeoff, and the plane was still within the view of the airport CCTV camera. The only survivor, Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, said the plane crash landed within 33 seconds after takeoff, with the plane lights turning green and white. He said he thought he was dead like every other person on board the plane because he saw before his eyes the air hostesses caught in fire. The lone survivor spoke in his native language while speaking on the sickbed and answering questions from a news reporter based in Ahmedabad, and his statement is presented as translated by Sky News. The crashed Air India plane was traveling from India to London after the flight AI-171 departed Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport at 13:39 local time, 8:09 Greenwich Mean Time, and was due to touchdown at London's Gatwick Airport at 18:25 British Summer Time. According to BBC, the only survivor told local media from his hospital bed that, 30 seconds after takeoff, there was a loud noise. It all happened so quickly. His cousin, Ajay Valgi, said Mr. Ramesh called his family to say he was fine, but he does not know the whereabouts of his brother, also called Ajay, who was on the plane with him. The Boeing 787 California Governor, Gavin Newsom, has described the action of the United States, U.S. President Donald Trump deploying National Guard troops to the city of Los Angeles as a way of putting the lives of the troops and people of the U.S. city at risk. The Homeland Security Service stated that its men have arrested an illegal immigrant from Mexico, Emiliano Gardano Galvez, over attempted murder for allegedly throwing a Molotov cocktail at Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, ICE law enforcement agents during the Los Angeles riots, which has led to high level of looting and vandalization of shops. And in response to the alarming rate of mass stealing, the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, on Tuesday evening declared 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew to commence today in certain parts of the Los Angeles city. Los Angeles Police Department Central Division, in a statement after the curfew was declared yesterday, said, multiple groups continue to congregate on First Street between Spring and Alameda. Those groups are being addressed and mass arrests are being initiated. Curfew is in effect. Curfew is in effect in downtown Los Angeles. Any person who remains engaged in unlawful assembly or criminal activity will be detained and arrested, the police said. California Governor Gavin Newsom, in a video and written press release, said that Donald Trump, without consulting with California's law enforcement leaders, commandeered 2,000 of our state's National Guard members to deploy on our streets. Illegally, and for no reason. This brazen abuse of power by a sitting president inflamed a combustible situation, putting our people, our offices, and the National Guard at risk. Karen Bass, the mayor, City of Los Angeles, in an order issued between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Tuesday, banned unauthorized persons from moving or walking around the streets at night till further notice. The curfew declaration order reads verbatim below. Whereas, on June 10, 2025, I declared a local emergency within the city of Los Angeles resulting from the civil unrest following the escalation of immigration enforcement procedures of the federal government, including the unilateral activation and deployment of the California National Guard and United States Marines. Whereas, preceding the declaration of this local emergency, while the majority of protesters acted lawfully, there has been a significant amount of criminal behavior, including violence against first responders, vandalism of public and private property, looting of businesses, and failure to follow the lawful dispersal orders of the Los Angeles Police Department. Now therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Los Angeles under the City of Los Angeles Charter and provisions of Los Angeles Administrative Code, Chapter 3, Section 8.29, to promulgate, issue and enforce rules, regulations, directives and orders, I hereby declare the following order necessary for the protection of life and property in the areas of the city specified below. 1. No person, except as set forth below, shall be upon any public interest, avenue, boulevard, place, alley, park or other. Thousands of residents in Northern Ireland of Ballymena almost throughout on Tuesday night continued a mass protest against foreigners or immigrants over alleged sexual assault on a female minor by suspected Romanians, leading to a more chaotic situation on Tuesday around Clonavan Terrace area and Bridge Road, with protesters seen engaging police officers with petrol bombs, heavy masonry, bricks and fireworks, with police authority, the Police Service of Northern Ireland, PSNI, confirming that the violent civil unrest was brought under control around 1 a.m. on Wednesday morning night, adding that 17 police officers sustained serious injuries and the police service senior officer, Chief Constable John Butcher, described the protest as a racial behavior. It was gathered that some shops and homes of foreigners were set ablaze by the protesters who staged the anti-immigrant protests across several streets in Ballymena, forcing many foreigners to flee the city over fear of being attacked. The protests in Ballymena, Northern Ireland, erupted following the alleged sexual assault of a teenage girl on June 7, 2025, in the Clonavan Terrace area. According to Reuters, hundreds of masked rioters attacked police and set homes and cars on fire in the Northern Irish town of Ballymena on Tuesday, in the second successive night of disorder that followed a protest over an alleged sexual assault in the town. Calm was restored to Ballymena, located 45 kilometers, 28 miles, from the capital Belfast, at around 1 o'clock local time, 0000 GMT, police said. Officers in riot gear and driving armored vans responded earlier with water cannon and non-lethal rounds, known as attenuated energy projectiles, after being attacked by petrol bombs, scaffolding and rocks that rioters gathered by knocking down nearby walls, a Reuters witness said. Police Service of Northern Ireland, in a series of statements issued on its website and social media handle, said that police continuing to investigate a serious sexual assault on a teenage girl in the Clonavan Terrace area of Ballymena on Saturday the 7th of June have made a third arrest. Detective Inspector Alford from the Police Service's Public Protection Branch said, a 28-year-old man was arrested yesterday evening, Monday the 9th of June. He has been unconditionally released from police custody following questioning. We have to date charged 2 teenage boys with attempted rape and our inquiries are continuing. They both appeared before Coleraine Magistrates Court yesterday morning, Monday the 9th of June, in connection with this investigation. We would reiterate our appeal for information. If you were in the Clonavan Terrace or Waveney Road area on Saturday evening, and witnessed what happened or noticed anything suspicious, please make contact with police on 101, quoting reference number 1522, the 7th of June 25. The 29-year-old man, arrested during the disorder in Ballymena on Monday night the 9th of June, has been charged to court. He has been charged with riotous behavior, disorderly behavior, attempted criminal damage and resisting police. He is due to appear before Ballymena Magistrates Court on Thursday the 3rd of June. Policemen in Edo State of Nigeria have arrested 7 persons suspected to be members of a secret cult group while the suspects were in the act trying to kill a commercial motorcycle driver also known as a Okada rider at Sapele Road Axis in Benin City. According to the Edo State Police Command spokesperson, Moses Yamu, policemen at the Love World Police Division quickly went after the suspected killers while they were dehumanizing the Okada rider. In a statement issued on Tuesday, the police command said that, on the 8th of June 2025, acting on a distress call that some suspected cultists were sighted dehumanizing an Okada rider at Peanut Junction along Sapele Road. Operatives of the Love World Division immediately responded and arrested 7 suspects, namely, Eric Charles, 25 years, Gift Neris, 24 years, Odion Asaro, 19 years, Festus Osai, 26 years, OsazuwaAkonedo, 19 years, Samuel Sabi, 22 years, Destiny Bernard, 20 years, while 2 yet to be identified escaped. 2 of the suspects confessed to be members of the Maphite confraternity. 1 pestle, 1 machete, 1 live cartridge, and one tricycle with registration number AUC 184VH were recovered during the operation. Investigation is ongoing and suspects will soon be charged to court. The command's house-to-house arrests of identified cultists is ongoing and will be sustained till cultism is brought to the barest minimum. The Commissioner of Police, CP Monday Agbonika, FDC assures the general public that the command will continue to discharge its duty with utmost professionalism, Moses Yamu stated in the command news release. We had reported that the Edo State Commissioner of Police, Monday Agbonika, has announced the commencement of house-to-house arrest of people suspected or identified as members of a secret cult group in the south-south geopolitical state of Nigeria. We had reported that the Edo State Governor, Monday Okpebholo, has called for more stakeholders' supports and actions towards ending secret cult-related killings and other organized violent crimes in the state, stating that the aged-long secret cult war in the south-south state of Nigeria has driven away a lot of investors, and as such, Edo State has been at a loss of $1 billion every year, with statistics, according to the governor, showing that the natives of Edo State top the list of the highest diaspora remittances in Nigeria, but over 95% of the natives divert the funds to other states to avoid secret cult violence in the state, also known as the heartbeat of the nation. We have reported that the Edo State government, led by Governor Monday Okpebholo, has issued an executive order blacklisting a government-registered acclaimed sociocultural organization, the Neo-Black Movement, NBM, as a violent organization among those responsible for violent crimes of high rates of secret cult-related homicide killings in the state, and in a swift reaction, the president of the Neo-Black Movement of Africa, NBM, Olusegun Osazuwa, while speaking with a panel of presenters at Arise News Television during the TV program, accused the governor, Monday Okpebholo, of allegedly using members of the Black
OsazuwaAkonedo, bringing you the news in a more digital way.